pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Speak for yourself.
The meeting will come to order. The first order of business is public announcements. And I first want to extend our condolences to the family of Vivian Field, who was our previous Boston Post cane holder. And with that, I would like to invite any residents who were born before February 1922, or families of such residents to contact the town office, as such residents may qualify to be the next recipient of the Boston Post cane. The second matter is public hearings. There are no public hearings today. The third order of business are public comments. Members of the public may speak to the council on any item or reserve the right to speak on a specific item that is on the meeting agenda when the item is addressed. I actually believe we have a special presentation today regarding the school district budget.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Reza Naiman. I'm Superintendent of Schools at MS 8049. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here. I wanted to take the opportunity to really not only to go over where we are in regard to our school budget, but just get a chance to meet you. I met with the town manager, and I appreciated her the opportunity for us to sit down and chat about where we are. I do plan to do the same with every town. I plan to meet with, hoping to meet with Albion, Clinton, and Benton, and do the same with them, to have a discussion in regard to where we are with the budget. How do we develop a budget this year comparing to last year? What are some of the different ways we're approaching that? What I wanted to just share with you is the fact that the FY19 budget compared to FY20 budget, the way it's going to be developed is that we have started the process by starting to have the teachers in every school to have a school council developed. The school council is a fair representation of teachers, staff, community members, and to make decisions in regard to the operation and the budget in the school. So the teachers present their budget to the principal, and that budget goes to the school council. The school council has the opportunity to really discuss and identify some of the set priorities that are needed to operate. What we've done this year is that we shifted into an operational budget that is more site-based, giving more opportunity for the principals to own the budget in development and owning the budget in terms of the operation, to have more input in development of the budget and identify the priorities. Once that budget comes from the school council, through the school council, it goes to the full admin, and the leadership team would discuss in regard to the budget and our priorities, and we form one collective budget that is our FY20 budget, identifying all the liabilities. Through our admin discussion, we basically have an opportunity tomorrow to the school board, every principal in public, to do a presentation to the community, their budget. So each principal has an opportunity to present their enrollment trends, their budget in the past, why they're requesting what they're requesting, and in regard to the programming, what are the changes that are taking place. I have included in your pack and handed out to you an FY20 budget calendar, and that gives you tentatively where we are so far. Just wanted to have an opportunity to share with you and meet with the town manager and you more ongoing, for us to have an ongoing conversation rather than just a final budget that comes in. So I'm going to continue that communication with you along with other towns in regard to where we are. Our forecast, the budget that we have, as you know, in terms of revenue projections, we do have a budget that the total community's contributions basically has reduced by $135,000, about $135,000, the local contributions by each town, total, is around $135,000, so each town contributes less in regard to the contributing to the school budget. At the same time, as you know, the state formula in regard to the state funding for us was increased by $593,000. So you have at one end, you have about $135,000 that's reduced in terms of contribution, as well as the projected the contribution to the district went up by $593. So what we're doing at this point, we're developing a budget and start the conversation in regard to the set priorities and see where we are in regard to the net. The difference is we're also going to include our revenues to see what are the net budget is that's going to impact the taxpayers. And then we're going to move down from that point by having more ongoing meeting with the staff and finance and facility, as well as the communities, to see where our target points are, where our priorities to meet, bring that down to what we consider to be a fiscally responsible budget that addresses our need. As you know, operationally, we are certain costs that really we don't have a control over in regard to the operation, collective bargaining, as well as the insurance. You know, we do project, as you know, like last year, we project this year to be a 12% raise on the Anthem insurance. But as you know, our projected revenue and the budget is at the early stage. As we move forward to May, we have the final projections and that budget gets finalized. But at this point, my hope is to come to you and all of the towns and share with you as we move forward in regard to where we are, in regard to our liabilities and budget and programming, and identify those priorities we have, which are important to us. Because I do believe that for each community, having a great school is a good economic decision, because you have folks wanting to come to your community to work and live. First question always is, do you have a good school? And I think we have a great school system that delivers the education, but we want to make sure at the same time to be very cost effective and conscious of the tax responsibilities. So I'm here to introduce myself and share with you where we are in terms of the calendar. We're still at the early stage, but at the same time, we'll continue to meet with the town manager and then to see where else we can work together in regard to the consolidation. There are a lot of opportunities that we can. I think we're going to start doing that. And because the bottom line is the taxpayers paying that, and it comes from the same pocket. You know, so we wanted to make sure to address that and be as conscious and conservative we can. So our goal is to come to you and start building that relationship with every town and continue that relationship and communication with you in regard to where we are and answer any questions that you have. But I do appreciate the opportunity. I know we met briefly and then all of a sudden I decided to come today, so I do appreciate the opportunity to be here. And thanks for the time.
Thank you for coming to address us.
You're welcome.
Look forward to seeing how this new process works out for
Thank you.
Everyone's benefit.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, folks.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? Seeing none, we will move on to our fourth order of business, reports from staff and committees, and we'll start with the town manager report.
Last Thursday, I attended the Sustain Mid-Maine Coalition's Board of Directors meeting. We also had this, on February 20th, I attended the KVCOG meet and greet. It was an event held to familiarize folks with the new executive director, make it easier instead of her trying to reach all 23 plus communities that they have. Actually, no, there's even more than that. And then also to allow folks the opportunity to get reacquainted with KVCOG itself and its services. At least one municipality that was there is going to be joining that was not currently a member. So that was yeah. Land use ordinance jumping off the wall. So, and then a majority of our work has been not only on stuff for our budget for next year, but also we're continuing to work with the DEP and HEP regarding our solar project located on the landfill that's consuming a large amount of time. So, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Are there any other committees that wish to report at this time?
The committees have met.
He's met.
Seeing none, we'll move on to our fifth order of business, to waive the reading of and accept the minutes as printed or amended for meeting number 2019-3, held on February 13th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Yes.
My agenda's -02.
It's dash 03. There's a revised agenda that was on your
Okay, all
top
right,
there.
good.
Yes, these
Yes,
are
okay.
correctly minutes 2019-03. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes? Any opposed? Any abstaining? One abstaining. That passes. The sixth order of business is to approve the treasurer's warrant. And this is warrant number 51 in the amount of $242,210.60.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is approved. We'll move on to the seventh order of business to take action on the following items of business. Start with item 19-12. Ordered that the town council hereby authorizes the town manager and police chief to proceed with the sale and/or trade-in of the police department 2017 Dodge Ram truck.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I saw the estimate on it from Maurice's, and I know it's a lot to paint the vehicle. And I'm just wondering why 2 years, why not keep it for 8? I understand the value might go down with the 8 years.
So I will invite Police Chief Gould to address that.
It's something that we came up with. The replacement policy is something that we came up with a couple of years ago when we purchased the vehicle. And it's because they offer such huge incentives on these vehicles that we're purchasing it for far less than a person on the street could purchase it for. Therefore, the vehicles were still quite a bit of money in trade, and it didn't work out quite that well because there's been some changes in steel prices. These figures are a little bit inflated because they don't have the base model truck that we currently have now. It's the next step model up that we're looking at. But still, the other vehicle that we had for a detective's vehicle, after the second year, everybody in town knew it. Everywhere we went in this disguised vehicle of ours, people were waving to us, and they knew who we were. So the plan was to be able to swap the vehicle out every couple of years. We don't put a lot of mileage on it. It's still worth quite a bit of money, and it's a huge, in my opinion, it's a huge savings for the town over the life of the vehicle. So we're paying about $2,000. My hope would be to sell the vehicle outright for $23,000. I think it would go within a week or so. And then we would be looking at a cost of, I think, $2,300 and change in order to get into a brand new vehicle. And the plan has always been to try to rotate these vehicles out every 2 years. This was our first year, so we've come into some stumbling blocks. The trade-in value wasn't quite what we thought we were going to get for it. So I'm thinking if we continue this process, we should look at maybe planning to sell the vehicle outright in 2 years, putting that money towards a new vehicle. But it's mostly paint, the lower mileage. The 2 years, the vehicles were still quite a bit of money in trade. So I think we're just saving a ton by doing it every 2 years.
Just to clarify, maybe drive home a point that you made earlier, this is a vehicle that's supposed to be used by a detective.
Correct.
And so it's not supposed to be identifiable to the general public.
Right.
And all of our other police vehicles are in fact designed specifically to be identifiable to the public.
Right, and this vehicle is not a patrol vehicle. It doesn't go out on the road and patrol. It is
It just stays
used
in the
covertly.
Stays right in the garage.
Yep. Yeah.
Detectives,
When it's not being used, but it is used on surveillance and things like that. The only reason we went with the truck is because the rebates were so huge on these vehicles that we're getting from RAM. you just can't beat the prices on them. We're paying, I think we paid $3,000 less than we pay for a cruiser, and this is a four-wheel drive with a V8, full-size pickup truck. It's not a full-size, it's kind of the compact.
If you do trade it in or sell it, will you be getting the new vehicle before the low budget ends or within the new budget?
As soon as that vehicle sells, we'd be ordering one. We actually went to him and we got a quote on 3 vehicles that he had on the lot. He's now down to 1 vehicle, so you know, the sooner we do it, the better. We did look around at some other dealerships, but the pricing was nowhere near as good as the pricing we were getting in Waterville.
I was going to ask you, does this come out of the
Just
budget, or
a
does this come
bit
out of
of
the capital reserve?
clarification. So what happens with vehicle purchases, they actually come from the capital reserve accounts.
Yep.
And the capital reserve accounts don't lapse simply because our fiscal year ends. They continue to roll each year. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's purchased in June or July in the fiscal year, because that capital reserve account stays
I
in
was
place
just wondering, was
all the way through.
forecasted, or just say, okay, we had extra money, or?
It was already it was part of our plan when we went forward for this year, knowing that when we purchased it back in 2017, the 2 years were here. So it was part of our plan to go forward and do anyway. So we had waited the 2 years. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that it was taught during the budget time, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the things also with our capital reserve plans is that those accounts have funds in them, but they don't have the funds in them that we need to adequately purchase vehicles in the appropriate time frame for all of our departments. So it's based upon what we have for money. So the current balance in the police department equipment reserve is $59,832.
Okay.
So there's plenty of money in there. There's plenty of money in there to buy the vehicle outright, but with the trade, that would automatically be put towards it. So it will definitely make a big difference. And if you think about having the vehicle for 8 years, and if we were at, you know, $4,000 a year, and that times 8 years, that's still $32,000. So this vehicle is still less than what we would pay even if we held on to it. And then the vehicle would not have any trade-in value if we waited that long.
And I would just point out that, because there was, I think, obviously some same council members, but several new council members now as compared to when we made this plan. At the time this plan was made, the intention was to trade it in after 2 years, both for operational reasons and because of the relatively high trade-in value that we could get doing that.
And just to also clarify, because I know for folks at home, if they were listening 2 weeks ago when you requested the painting price, so we did actually look into that. They received the quotes from Maurice's. It was $7,158.62 to paint the entire truck. And the biggest, I was also shocked when I heard that number. But that's because every single component on the painted vehicle has to be painted in this manner. And if it's not painted in this manner, no dealership even wanted to look at us at even a trade
So that was
in a
the
year's time.
only quote?
This was the only one that
Okay.
we got
Yeah,
that was local.
I saw the person who did the quote
Yeah.
on it, that's why.
So, and we usually, it's a service that we use through them quite often.
Okay.
They're pretty
Yeah.
standard when it
Okay.
comes to doing our vehicle
Okay.
maintenance, but.
I just want to make sure, because it wasn't a conflict of interest of the last name on it, who made the quote.
Oh, no.
Oh, I think that was emailed through them, the quote, I don't think that was
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
done by
Alright.
that person, it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there is a big savings, I think it works out to, even if we purchased a vehicle at the $4,300, with the $4,300 difference, we're still looking at about a $14,000 savings over the 8-year life of the vehicle. And then 6 years from now, we're still sitting in a vehicle that's almost new. So that if RAM ever stops this incentive program that they offer to municipalities, we're still way ahead of the game. So, but like I said, I'd like to see us try to sell the vehicle outright for the $23,000, then it would be around $2,335 to replace the vehicle.
And then the purchase of the vehicle will actually come back to you. This is just about putting it out to bid.
Right.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor of the motion that the town council authorize the town manager and police chief to proceed with the sale and/or trade-in of the police department 2017 Dodge Ram truck. Please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstaining? One abstention. So that passes. The next item is item 1913. Ordered that the Town Council hereby considers and approves proposed revisions to the Town Council Administrative Policy, Section 305, the Crawford Perpetual Music Fund, and Section 105, Town Council.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and these are the policy changes that have been distributed and were discussed at our last meeting. To reiterate, would allow, first of all, it creates an actual document regarding policy with respect to appointment to the Crawford Committee, and it essentially puts that responsibility into the hands of the chair to either attend or appoint a designee to attend those meetings. And Section 105 for the Town Council just clarifies our current practice of allowing the chair to participate in debate and cast votes and act in essentially the way a normal council member would, which we have, as far as I know, always done. And the town staff was kind enough to actually put that into an administrative policy so that it will fit in with our general administrative policy binder.
It was the resolution that you had discussed at the last meeting. It basically incorporates everything that you had discussed in that meeting, but it doesn't give us an additional document that we need to track and chase down. It puts it right where all of your stuff already is. So.
Is there any further discussion on these?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor of approving these policies? Any opposed? Any abstaining? That carries. Item 1914, ordered that the Town Council hereby signs quitclaim deeds for the following properties: 139 Oakland Road, map 30, lot 012, Williams Street, map 33, lot 038-00A, and Norwich Walk Road, map 012, lot 004.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I will just ask, were these tax acquired?
2 of them were tax acquired, and one of them is a 1964 town quitclaim deed correction. And
That was a mess up, yeah.
And
the one on Norwich Walk Road, map 12, the town had done a quitclaim deed back on January 16th, 1964. And the number referencing the lien for that property was transposed on the page, and it was just recently found by a law office, and they've sent us a correction. So.
And I assume that the tax acquired properties, we have received payment in full?
Yes.
Excellent. And just for reference, do you know how many tax acquired properties we still are dealing with, or are we?
We have one left.
Okay.
Which we will also be discussing later.
All right. Thank you. So with that, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining? That carries. So we'll move on to the 8th order of business, which is council workshop and other business. 1, to discuss proposed revisions to the land use ordinance. We've all received the proposed revision. I will let Michelle introduce what these revisions are.
So this revision, the planning board looked into an ordinance, a land use ordinance piece that the city of Bangor had done last year, which was in an attempt to try to preserve their downtown district. They created an ordinance such that a business wouldn't be allowed on its main floor to be turned into residential housing. And with our current downtown and having recently had a property that was a business a few years ago and now has been turned into residential right on Main Street, this was sent to the planning board to look at to see if this was a possibility for our community. So they have made a recommendation that the Main Street district, which would not allow any newly created dwellings to be adjacent to Main Street itself, and to be wholly located above the ground floor, It's not that they made it impossible for this to happen. It is still possible to create dwelling units, but you need to appeal to the Board of Appeals. And that you would need to display to them that the property owner would need to demonstrate that the property is otherwise incapable of earning income return on its value as appraised by a qualified appraiser. So if you have a piece of property that's in our Main Street district and you know that you cannot possibly rent or lease that space and turn a profit, then there's a way for you to still make it residential if that's a profit making for you. We didn't want to get into too much control, but they wanted to deter Main Street properties on the main floor from being turned all into residential so that our downtown doesn't go away. So that's what this piece is, and then you'll have another one too that'll be coming up in the public hearing where there was a correction that needed to be done between the solar setback requirements, where they were doing that correction. So with your public, if this, you approve this, when we go forward with the public hearings, it'll be those two pieces.
Anyone have any other
So if
comments
that-
on this?
So if that building right now on Main Street, they made that residential down bottom, they have to like change it back into business and move out and go back at the top.
So, no, anybody who's currently in a residential
Grandfather.
is grandfathered.
Okay.
It doesn't affect anybody that's currently turned it into residential. It's just going forward.
Anyone have any additional comments on the proposed changes? And do we want to just take a quick vote to approve sending this off for public hearings? Yes.
I can schedule. Don't need
Well, I know we don't need a formal vote for that, but just to make sure that there's some record that we actually did want that to happen. It's a sort of poll, it's not, we're not passing anything.
Gotcha.
So just a quick show of hands, is there anybody opposed to sending this off for a public hearing?
No.
Seeing no one opposed to it, I will put that on for a public hearing for our next meeting and the meeting thereafter. I am still struggling to find a way to indicate in a workshop that we actually agreed to something that makes sense to the public and in the minutes, because otherwise we move things out of workshop and it's not clear that we ever actually agreed on them. So the next item is to discuss the proposed 2019-2020 budget. And I just want to start by thanking everyone here, including our department heads who are in the audience today, and Michelle for putting in the time Saturday morning to hammer out the council's budget. And the council budget is basically $6,929 more this year than last year in the net to be raised by taxes. So we actually did reduce the requested budget by a small amount, and obviously these budget meetings are open to the public. We have another one coming up this Saturday, 8 a.m. right here in the council chamber with the budget committee. So if people at home are interested in the budget process, they can come down and address us. We had at least one person do that this weekend, and actually was a very important discussion. So I want to encourage people to come out and do that. So with that, does anyone else have any comments about the budget?
This was mostly for follow-up in case we did need it, not knowing how this was set. Your agenda was set before Saturday's meeting. The two nonprofit organizations that we discussed about having someone come and visit this Saturday are both set. I've spoken to both of them. They have someone who is coming and will be here Saturday at, I've asked them to come at 10:30 because that'll be after the department heads are in.
Good.
So, that'll be good.
So with that, we'll be meeting to discuss this again Saturday morning at 8 with the budget committee.
Yeah.
So it's all planned to be there.
Yeah.
Our next item is to discuss a public works truck. And I will invite our public works director to address us on this point.
It is cold in here. It is cold.
Village
you like to know? We just need to update a pickup.
Anything you want to tell us?
Right. You all have the memo, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay. So again, it's the same as the police chief. We've gone through RAM, and the discounts are just incredible.
Was this proposed before, or just happened saying, like to have a new vehicle, or was this a plan for a while? Or?
It was a plan, discussions with Michelle and I, and our capital updates.
We actually weren't looking at a Dodge, but because of the other pieces, started that conversation about whether or not we could get this.
Yeah,
thing kind
I
of
saw what, I know your vehicle's going down to the foreman, then that foreman's going down to the workers. What, the old vehicle for the workers, was that going for? Did they have a vehicle?
We had already gotten rid of one this year, like saving them for high-value trade-ins. We run them until there's no worth left to them.
On the wheels too?
Yes, so right now they have a 2003 Chevrolet, a GMC pickup.
And I also read the memo that said that the one that we're gonna be trading in wouldn't be feasible because it's white and it's not good for winter plowing, and also that it's a lot smaller in the engine and those types of things.
Actually, no, that is a wrong quote on my part. It is the same size engine, however, the back seat, the police chief got in it and he had to sit sideways. And a lot of my guys are his height and a little more weight.
So you were wrong on that aspect of it then?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's okay, that's okay. But it's not ideal for
No.
what you're looking for, is what I'm saying.
Right.
We,
Correct.
okay. I get it. All right. How much of a warranty are they getting for the 2019 for the 30,920? Do you know?
It would be 5 years?
36 bumper to bumper, and then
Yeah.
So typically what we do, if with the vehicle, if they're public works vehicles, by the time we get around to replacing those.
They're half
those
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those are the ones that we put out to bid for
And-
the public.
Yeah.
We had some good luck, actually, with the auction company that we use with our fire trucks, and that may be something that we look at as we go forward with this. So this was here for discussion about whether or not council wanted to go forward with this, and then if you do, then we'll get you all of the official estimates that we get.
These vehicles stay right in the yard, they don't go to the residents' homes.
The only time they go to the resident, to either my home or the foreman's, is when we are on call.
Which is a lot during the winter time.
Oh, yeah.
We rotate weeks.
All day, all
so
night, Mary Ann.
Yeah, they're not on.
This week I'm not on call, so I don't bring the pickup home.
Now, that also comes out of the capital reserve
Yes.
fund, correct?
Yes. Public Works currently has $294,614.79.
Well, we have
Which
more than.
sounds like an
enough to-
awful lot of money, but if you think about a plow truck, which is at least 180,000, it's actually not an awful lot of money. But we do have the funds that we need to purchase this truck.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Gotta keep those roads clear.
Well,
Especially
and
the
the other
winters that
piece
we've
too
been
is to
having
try to
to.
make sure, we have to make sure that our staff are in vehicles that are safe to go.
Absolutely.
And Public Works, especially when dealing with sand and salt, it has a tendency to be a little bit more corrosive environment than some of our other places.
Well, I will tell you how impressed I am about how well that they do and have done since I've moved to Fairfield. I have no complaints of how well they keep the roads cleaned, sanded, and salted, so, you know.
Well, and one of the other things too with these smaller pickup trucks as opposed to the large dump trucks, a couple years ago, we used to use the grader for snow removal and some other larger pieces of equipment.
Doesn't
And we've
work.
cut down on that wear and tear by having these smaller trucks in our rotation and the
Yeah.
ability to plow with them, as opposed to just a Public Works truck that doesn't have a plow on the front. We're making sure that every new truck that we get has the ability to also be a plow truck to handle parking lots and those sort of things if we need them, so.
It
has
makes it a
definitely
lot
helped.
safer for the guys when plowing intersections as well. We can get them around a little quicker with these smaller pickups and see better.
No, they were working today when I went home, so,
I saw them this morning. Went to
yeah,
the post
giving
office
thumbs
with a
up as I
bucket.
was going by.
Yeah, trying to get rid of some of that ice.
Yeah,
All set, folks?
yeah, thank you very much
Thank you, Bruce.
for
So-
coming in.
With that, we will put this on our next agenda, unless there's an objection. All right, and then that brings us to number 4, other council business. We'll start with Mr. Lawrence. Do you have any other business today?
No other business, no.
Mr. Pashadi?
No, I'm good. It's just a note that we lost, half the town lost power yesterday for an hour or two
The wind.
with the wind, and it was mostly, say, from probably Borough Street over
I was surprised.
on up, and
My road, Ridge Road, we didn't lose
a
a thing.
big portion of Waterville also had lost their power.
It was
too. There
actually
was-
right from the intersection, right up here, because it also included the police department.
Okay.
And when the police department
Yeah,
loses
it might
power,
have been,
it wipes
right.
out our internet and phones at the town
Right.
office.
Not good,
So,
not good.
Should we look at getting like an emergency?
we
backup
have a
system?
generator.
We do.
Okay.
There is, it's there. It didn't take long for it to come down.
The internet in the police department is on our battery backup system.
Okay.
So as soon as the power goes out, well, actually, you won't even notice a difference with the internet, but the internet was out throughout town. So it wasn't,
I was gonna say.
It was the power.
Had
wasn't the
It was a
internet issue at the
spectrum
police
issue.
department. The router was up and running and trying to find the internet, but there was none available to it. But the generator did kick in, the battery backup systems, they all did do their jobs.
Yeah.
We
The
had
phone-
one
the
new
phones,
server that.
yeah, we actually lost phone service too.
Yes, but we had connection between the buildings.
So between buildings, we could speak to each other. Interdepartmentally, we could talk
Yeah.
to each other because of the lines that it runs across and our connections. But if there's no internet to be had, then because our phones work over the internet, they don't work.
Right, but even but the
so-
landlines also lost. the
Oh, and people,
landlines were
folks
out,
with
too.
regular landlines?
Yes.
So should
Yeah.
we invest in rotary phones so that we can
Walkie-talkies.
call out,
Yeah,
or?
so we were fine. It was down for just a little while.
Police and
Excuse me?
fire both have, we still have
Well,
copper
I have a
lines.
landline.
So
Yeah.
even if the internet goes down, we still had the
Because
ability
whenever
to use
I
our
lost
phone.
power,
I
I used
received
my
it, so it
rotary
must have
phone.
went out
I
to four
just
or
want to-
five.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we're clear on this. There was no negative impact to public safety
No.
during
No.
this
No.
incident?
Everything was
Correct.
covered.
Everything was covered.
Excellent.
And I do have something that I would like to say if you're gonna be asking me.
I will. I was going to ask
Okay?
Councilman Chandler.
No, I don't have anything. Okay.
Councilman
I
Booth.
would like to express a special thank you to Hospice of Waterville. I ran into a situation today, and I went down, because I'm pretty well known there anyways, because I practically live there or at the Antique Mall in Fairfield, so they know me quite well. So I went down with a specific problem, and they helped me as much as they could possibly do so. And actually, it wasn't me they were helping, it was somebody else that is a constituent here in Fairfield. But anyways, I want to express a special thank you to them. I think they're wonderful people, and they go way above and beyond the call of duty for people that are in need. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of them over there at the building. So thank you very much, all of you.
I have no further business this evening, and so with that, the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, March 13th, 2019, at 6:30 p.m. At this time, the council will recess and sign all documents that require the signature of council members. Do I have a motion for recess?
Yes, you do.
Second.
Motion and a second. We are in recess.